So next we have Karter Mycroft, who is getting a jump on Halloween.
Yeah,
Love it. Let me put you on spotlight. Here you are. Welcome, Carter, and tell us about your story, Shark News.
sure. Yeah, Cody must have played a prank on me by telling me that it was a costume party and not anyone else. So my story in Made in LA is called Shark News, and it is a story about a young man who moves to a new neighborhood for no real justified reason and gets involved in all kinds of weird stuff involving shortwave radio and deep sea sharks and Los Angeles's elevator inspection protocols. Um, and it's kind of just a story about how when you're new to LA or new to a certain part of LA, things can feel kind of cosmic and confusing, and like there are all these weird machinations going on that you don't understand. And if you kind of insert yourself just a little bit closer, you start to learn a little bit, and that can be good or that can be bad. Um, or it can just be strange. So I'll read a little bit from the beginning. And this is right after our hero, Hunter, gets his first apartment in Venice. He spent the first week on a mattress on the floor, playing video games and texting his ex and ordering pizza from chain restaurants. Eventually, he worked up the motivation to explore the neighborhood. He wandered Abbot Kinney past expensive restaurants, psychedelic murals, surf shops that only sold clothes, and weed stores that charged 5 times what he was used to paying back in the valley. He smoked a joint around the Canal District, drawing sneers from folks who sipped wine outside multi-million-dollar homes with signs in the yards reading, "Save Venice, no shelters." The canals made him nervous. He'd hoped in Venice he would meet some people like himself, carefree types who liked to have fun, the sort of people he remembered seeing when he'd visited as a kid. Artists and hippies and surfers and pretty girls who smoked cigarettes. So far, all he'd seen was rich people who didn't wear shoes. He hung around the beach, drifting past the street vendors with their caricatures and irreverent t-shirts, the county fair-style food shacks, the legendary skate park. He watched the skaters for a few hours. He'd tried skateboarding in high school, and he'd been bad at it. There were 8-year-olds here who looked like Olympic gold medalists by comparison. He tried chatting with some guys around his age who stood at the railing, wondering if this might be where he'd find his people. Everyone he talked to was visiting from another state. He woke up the next morning to a call from his dad. "Where did you say you moved?" "Venice Beach." "What the hell, Hunter? You're supposed to be saving money. You're supposed to be going back to school." "I just needed to get away for a while. Focus on myself, you know?" "Well, forget about us helping with your rent. Not unless you get a full-time job. Otherwise, you need to move back home." They had a long argument, and Hunter lost. He'd never worked full-time before and was not excited about the prospect. But maybe it wouldn't be so bad. It could be a good way to meet people, at least. And I'll stop there. That's kind of where it gets set up. Um, so yeah, that's basically what I have going on with my story. It kind of spirals from there into all kinds of weird stuff. And yeah, huge thank you to Cody and Allison and Sarah and everyone for including me in this volume. I'm a big fan of Made in LA since I saw the presentation at Last Bookstore last year. I think it was last year. Time is kind of meaningless at this point. But yeah, happy to be included, and loved reading all the other stories, and thanks to everybody for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Carter. I remember I've been like seeing some of the photos from last year, from about September to this time last year. We were in a kind of marathon book tour. We did events at Skylight, at Stories, at Book Show, at Last Bookstore. And looking back, I'm like, wow, I really left the house a lot. But also like, wow, how do we like, how do you introduce a book to people when you're really not out there as much? So we're doing more events like this, and it's really, it's great to have you all here to celebrate with us, and excited that we, after that Last Bookstore event, we went out and had drinks across the street downtown LA, not knowing how precious that was going to be.